Hey guys, VaulSC here. How are you going? Came up with a brand new custom mission for infiNity the game, and it is called Finish Line. I'm going to talk to you about Finish Line in this video. I did play a game of infiNity today on this new mission, but unfortunately a lot of my photos didn't quite turn out in the transfer for some reason. Conveniently, lost the game, so you guys know how much you like watching me lose in bat reps, so too bad. I do actually have some of the picks, just not all of them. So we'll talk about what we can. But the main idea is to chat about the mission and how it works, so you guys can have a go at it yourselves as well and let me know how it goes in playtesting. Please click in the video description. There's a link there to my Google Drive, which has my older custom mission tactical window, which you should definitely try it as well. But this one is new. It's called Finish Line. Let's explain how it works. So a lot of it's deceptively simple, really. The main objectives have to do with, first of all, there's a lot of them, but first of all, select your data tracker as normal and move your data tracker into the enemy deployment zone. Sounds simple, right? Very, very easy. You get 2 points just for doing that. So both players can achieve that. You move your data tracker into their deployment zone, they move theirs into yours, you're on 2 points each. If you move that data tracker even further and actually touch the back of the table, like the very back of their deployment zone, where the edge of the table is on their side of the board, you get a bonus point. The thing is, by moving your data tracker into enemy territory, you might leave them stranded there. And after you spend all those orders getting the data tracker over there, you might not be able to get back before your opponent has a turn. And if your opponent kills your data tracker, they get a point out of it because protecting your data tracker is worth a point. So effectively, they're denying you a point rather than getting their own point from doing that. But it's the same thing. There's also 2 points to be gained for killing more army points at the end of the game. So if you have a very expensive data tracker, they move over to grab the points. Your opponent kills that very expensive data tracker. Maybe if it's a tag or maybe it gets hacked, something like that, it gets killed. Then you're giving up 2 points potentially by doing that. Now, there are 2 panoplies and 1 transmission antenna in the middle, so it looks a little bit like this. There's a mission in the ITS pack which I directly copied this from. I can't remember. I think it's Show of Force or something like that. Anyway, the panoplies are there for 2 reasons. Number one, it's a bonus, so it can be a tiebreaker. If you acquire more weapons or items from the panoplies than the other person, you get 1. So let's say you raid the panoplies with 2 different models and your opponent raids it with only 1, you get a bonus point there. There is built into this mission a special trait. You know how in the mission Looting and Sabotaging, a specialist can raid the panoply and trade whatever they pick up with D charges? Well, in this mission, a specialist can do exactly that, but they get a nano screen instead of D charges. I've just written that into the mission. And the reason I've done that is because I want to make it possible for you to formulate a strategy that involves moving a specialist data tracker over into base contact with the panoply first, looting it, getting a panoply, a nanoscreen, and then moving into your opponent's deployment zone a bit more easily with the help of that nanoscreen. So that's the reason why that is there. So that, I think, is quite cool. And then lastly, there is a two bonus objective point for the transmission antenna. You can leave somebody in base-to-base contact with that at the end of the game, you get 2 points. Oh, and actually, almost forgot, there are no classifieds. Instead, it is kill the designated target. I prefer that, really. Number 1, because classifieds suck. They're a really bad thing for this game. Number 2, if there is a designated target that needs to be killed, as there are in a lot of normal ITS missions, then a lot of the classifieds are just interacting with enemy HVT, and it doesn't really work. Please note that there is no interaction between the data tracker and the designated target. The only job the data tracker has is to stay alive and hopefully move into the enemy's zones. So there are a few good things about this mission. Oh, by the way, it says no quarter in the scenario. Retreat rules are not applied, of course, because retreat is a stupid rule. It should not be in the game. Okay, so let's talk about how this mission really works and the strategy behind it and why it's a good mission. There is more than one way to win. You can formulate a strategy that works very well for taking the first turn. So if you're playing first, you have the first opportunity to assassinate their data tracker, possibly moving your data tracker into their zone at the same time. And that way you can pick up 3 points potentially that they can never pick up because their data tracker is dead right after yours contests actually goes into their zone. So that could be your reason for wanting to go first. It might also be helpful for the army points bonus objectives to go first as well. Having said that, if you can keep your designated target safe, and let's face it, it's not really hard to do that, you can move your data tracker into the enemy zone right at the end of the game. If he's stranded there, your opponent can't just pounce on that data tracker and kill it because they don't have any turns left. And furthermore, going and controlling the transmission antenna is a lot easier if you have second turn, as we all know from missions like Transmission Matrix and Acquisition and Safe Area and stuff like that. So I find that really quite a cool balance between, okay, is first turn better or second turn better? And it will come down to your personal preference, your own strategy, the kind of army list you're bringing, the kind of army list your opponent has, rather than just looking at the mission going, oh, cool, we're playing what am I thinking of? Oh, cool, we're playing the grid. Okay, I need to go first for this one. Or supplies. Yeah, I should probably go first, grab the objectives, run away. Or maybe you're playing acquisition, definitely need to go second. Transmission matrix, definitely need to go second. It's not one of those missions where it really comes down to just protecting that win condition and achieving that. You have to play a bit more of an adaptive game of infiNity here in the finish line mission. I also like the fact that if the game doesn't quite turn out the way it did halfway through, your opponent gets a few crits, you can start thinking about how to salvage the game in terms of what other side missions can I achieve? Can I go after the panoplies more easily? Can I get the transmission and antenna under my control, even though I took first turn, just based on board position? So there's a bit of adaptiveness which is encouraged by this, which I think is really, really cool. Moving your data tracker into the enemy deployment zone doesn't sound that hard, but it encourages the idea of playing faster data trackers. Tags actually do that quite well. Got to watch out for hacking, of course, and a bit easier to keep a tag alive, I suppose. Um, Data trackers, note that the rules for data trackers are already hardwired and already sort of built in, that they can't be in a marker state and they can't infiltrate, stuff like that. Sorry, I think they can infiltrate. It's just that I've written into the scenario somewhere that the data tracker must be deployed. Yeah, so in this mission, the friendly data tracker must begin deployed in the player's own deployment zone. I've had to write that rule hardwired into this particular scenario. Otherwise, yes, you probably could infiltrate a data tracker and then just move them into the deployment zone right off the bat, which is not what I'm going for here. So it's actually a really cool mission. I've already played it once. I hope you guys try it out and let me know how it goes. It's free to download, again, from my Google Drive folder. The link is in the video description of this video. I really think there should be more scenarios like this where it's sort of like both players have a lot to do. There are a lot of objectives to choose from, and it's quite balanced for first and second turn. I think that's really, really cool. Had a bit of a game on it today. A couple of my Prisma shots. Was playing Yu Ching against Aleph. Basic story of the game was that I won the roll for first turn. I picked table side because there was clearly a better table side. My opponent wanted to go second because he wanted to pick up the transmission matrix at the end. I saw that he had actually deployed his proxy hacker as a marker, not in hidden deployment. So I initially sent over my sensor bot, revealed it, then killed it with a ninja through the repeater. It just generally got guys into better positions. But one thing that ultimately happened in this game is that he had moved his Asura fairly far forward, beating off the Yanhuo with the help of the smoke grenade. Xian Warrior decides to move through and kill her in the position she was in because I could have tag team with the ninja. There was a spot though where the Xian Warrior is standing further up on top of this building, uses a short skill to come down into close combat, and takes a long range combi rifle from a Sophitek on the other side of the board. Sophitek firing at long range, needing a 6, rolls exactly a 6 and crits him. Then in the close combat with the Xian Warrior CC19 MA1 versus the Asura, slightly less, CC. The Sienwari rolls a 20, which is exactly a miss. The Asura hits him and wounds him, kills him. So the Sienwari rendered unconscious there, even though he had to specifically take a wound from that long-range combi rifle and specifically take a wound by losing the face-to-face roll with the Asura. So Sienwari dies. Ninja then runs over and manages to kill her just barely. And then later on in the game, there's a shootout between the Yanhuo and the Thrakitar with Feuerbach, even though the Thrakitar was out in the open. This guy's neurostatics only one shot, needing a 17 against a 12, loses anyway, fails to armor saves, dies. And then when I had my Canran parked on the transmission antenna at the end of the game, he decides to move it to Kenian to fire his HMG, 3 shots, 1 at each different hollow echo, and crits exactly the correct guy that he needed to clear off the transmission antenna, which was really awful. So quite a painful game. Not really the fault of my strategy. I just rolled poorly. We've got a few picks from it really, but yeah, I definitely lost. My opponent managed to win army points by a margin of about 20, picked up the transmission antenna at the end. We both got an item from the panoplies each. My Sien Warrior and his Asura were the data trackers, so we both failed any data tracker related objectives there, which was kind of sad, but we still had a good time. So yeah, hopefully you guys try out Finish Line. I'll definitely have a few more games with this mission because I think it's just a really good, solid mission, and a lot more ITS missions should be like this one because it's very fair and all sectorials, all armies can participate in it, and I think are generally equally as good. Even stuff like Hakislam, sure, you can take a lot of jammers, but your opponent may run a Krakot. It can be a data tracker. They can always kill the jammers, and they've got to actually cover a wide range. So as soon as you lose 1 or 2 guys in Motiwas, you can't cover the whole deployment zone for getting in and not being jammed, is what I'm talking about there. Whew, okay, all right. Well, let me know what you think of it. Really happy with it actually, and sorry it couldn't be a full-on bat rep. Wasn't a very good one anyway. I even had a Tiger Soldier who shot at his designated target and failed to kill it with the Spitfire. That's how badly the game was going. Anyway, I won't get into too much of a rant. This has been a look at a new mission. Check it out. Video description. Finish Line is the new mission.